What's up, guys? We're back to another episode of r/malicious compliance. As you can see, this video is already a long one, so I don't want to waste time in the intro. Let's get right into the video, and I will see you in a bit. Peace out. You want it used? You get it used. Hi everyone. I figured it was time for my first Reddit post after lurking for a bit. I'm on mobile, so please excuse the formatting and length. TLDR at the end. When I was 16, my very first job was at a college bookstore. The environment was great, and my boss was one of the most patient, understanding people I've ever met. Until Rush started. It's no secret that college textbooks can be insanely expensive, and I've literally seen people fight over the cheaper used books. We had a policy that people could call up with their class schedule and preferences, and we'd go ahead and pull the books for them. If they didn't pay, we'd hold them for 48 hours. But if they decided to pay over the phone, we would set them aside indefinitely. No long lines, no worrying if the book you need was in. Pretty easy, right? One day, I had a mother call to reserve her daughter's books, all used. I happily pulled them for her and asked if she would like to pay now. Otherwise, we can hold them for 48 hours. She said she'll be in tomorrow. I take her name and place the books in the back for her. A few days later, she's still a no-show. So, as promised, I put the books back out. A week and a half later, around the peak of rush season, a woman comes up to me while I'm helping people with reservations or finding their books and says that she's reserved her daughter's books in advance. I ask for the name, and when she gives it to me, I recognize it. I politely inform her that her books have been replaced, but would gladly help her find the books on the shelves. She grumbles, gives me the course list, and I go about collecting all the books until I get to the very last one. This is the most expensive by far, and we are completely out of used copies. I let the mother know, and she goes ballistic. 5 solid minutes of spewing profanities aimed at me. In a Christian college, no less. Talking about how she paid so much for her daughter to go to the school, so the books should be free, blah blah blah. I just nod and until she gets to the part I've been waiting for. My manager. She insists that she is going to get a brand new book for the used price and tells me to run along and fetch my manager, so he can come out and apologize for inconveniencing her and give it to her for less than the used price. I plaster a fake smile on my face, take the book, and go into the back where my manager is. Here's where the fun begins. I went back to explain the situation, along with her demand for an apology. This was at least the 10th time I had to go back to him over a similar issue, and he was sick of it. He gently took the book from my hands, closed the door, and said, "She wants it used, she gets it used." He then proceeded to unleash all the pent-up frustration and rage of the day on this book. Writing, drawing, highlighting, scuffing, and eventually throwing it on the floor multiple times and jumping on it until the poor thing looked beyond used, and then happily slapping a used sticker on it before opening the door and walking out to the mother that was waiting for him. He handed her the book, and with a look of shock on her face, asked what happened to the other one. He politely informed her that the only way he could sell her a book as used was, well, if it had been used. And since she insisted on that price, he had to follow the rules. She was stunned. He gave her his best customer service smile and told her she was welcome before walking into the back, whistling happily. TLDR. Used woman demands used price for a brand new college book. Demands manager. Manager greatly abuses the book before allowing her to have it at used price. Want to enforce outdated policies, but not others? How about I just follow all policies to a T? So I worked at a high-end grocery store on the East Coast up until yesterday. I'll preface with a bit of background. I loved this job, the people, and the management. It was such a fun place to work, until a new manager was hired in the front end. We'll call her BM. I also just graduated college and was offered a great position in my field, computer science, and was ready to quit anyway. For about 15 years, I was there for 6. Our role was to maintain the parking lot and attend to the shopping carts. This new manager was hired and started to make many demands that we just kinda did because we didn't feel like putting up much of a fight. After a few months, however, things started to change. She started enforcing the most ridiculous policies, even the little things like tucking in shirts, staying in strict zones in the parking lot and not being allowed to leave them, not being allowed to talk to other employees, couldn't wear any clothes other than black or gray underneath our company sweaters, and other ridiculous things. She actually told me I couldn't wear a bright orange sweater underneath my bright orange work shirt. So here's the kicker. After a while of insane requests, multiple people just quit on her. Because, as 19-year-olds don't have bills to pay, they don't need to deal with the insane harassment she's been giving us for minimum wage. 3 great workers quit. 3 managers under her quit. A manager in training requested a department change, and 2 other guys requested department transfers. Here's my malicious compliance. Thursday, I opened the store, which for me entails sweeping the lot, making sure the lobby is full, changing garbages, cleaning the brushes around the store, and a slew of other things. This is not part of my job. I do it because I like when the store is clean for customers. I do this from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and the next shift comes in at 9 a.m. At around 8 a.m., I've completely finished everything and the store was dead, as grocery stores are at 8 a.m. on Thursday, and I went to talk to 2 older people that work as cashiers inside. BM comes in at 8 a.m. and calls me over to her office. She then proceeds to tell me that I'm not allowed to talk to my friends. Not can I wear my orange sweatshirt and I have to tuck in my shirt and sweatshirt, which I don't know if anyone has ever tucked in their sweatshirt. It's quite uncomfortable. I ask why, and she's being so unreasonable and just cites an outdated employee handbook. I just yes her to death and finish my shift. I go home and decide to read the employee handbook and every single document I have available to me. These are legal documents published by the company and everything. I find some gems, such as I can wear white, blue, navy, black, or gray shorts from April 1st to September 31st. If extra warmth is needed, I can wear maroon, blue, black, navy, or gray sweatshirts. And some other things, like tight-fitting clothes, are not allowed. She wears yoga pants every day. I come in wearing bright white shorts and a burgundy sweatshirt and backwards white hat, and nothing resembling what her idea of our uniform is, and she starts going off, telling me to change or go home. I just smile, politely citing Employee Handbook, page 47, subsection 2, bullets 1, 2, and 3, and also direct her to Handbook, page 46, subsection 5, bullet 6, which states that tight-fitting clothes and pants are inappropriate. I then go outside and start to finish my shift. This shift, however, I did nothing outside my job description. Garbages? Nope, sorry, that's actually maintenance's job. Sweeping? Recycling? Bushes? Not in my handbook nor job description. The store looks awful. I didn't leave my zone, so 4/5 of the parking lot was a mess, but not my zone. They call me into HR to discuss what happened and what's going on. I politely explained the situation and how BM is the worst manager I have ever had the displeasure to have worked for, and is trying to implement ridiculous policies that have never been implemented and make our jobs so much harder than it is. I then said I'll be following the handbook exactly as it is written. I then handed in my 2 weeks, and they were very taken back. I'm the only person who they have hired that can open, and without me, no one comes in until 9. They told me to go home and paid me for my next 2 weeks, and the word on the street is the store owner was screaming at her last night. Feels good. Not letting me pick my own airline to fly? Enjoy paying for my business class seat on the contracted airline. So, as a federal employee, when we fly, we have to book our plane tickets with the loyalty contracted airline. However, our union agreement and other federal travel regulations/guidelines state an employee can fly any airline of their choice as long as the price is equal to or cheaper than the contracted airline. My first 2 training trips to the Midwest, I flew with Airline Z because I've been a frequent flyer with them for 15 plus years. They offer plenty of legroom, their planes are newer and bigger, and their seats are wide enough to be comfortable. The first 2 trips, their price was cheaper than my contracted airline. I made my orders, booked my tickets with Airline Z, and everything was approved. Easy done. Then it wasn't. In July 2017, it was going to be my 3rd trip to the Midwest. I did my orders, booked my flight with Airline Z. The price was slightly cheaper than the contracted airline price, so I figured, who doesn't want to save money? And sent everything for approval. Well, the new approving manager, AM, denied my orders. I called her and asked why my orders were denied. She said, "You didn't book your tickets with the contracted airline." I explained that I had flown 2 other times with Airline Z. The price had always been cheaper than the contracted airline, and per union agreement, my orders shouldn't have been denied. She goes on to say, "Well, I wouldn't have approved them then, and I'm not approving them now. Redo your orders." Okay. So I redid my orders with the contracted airline. Again, the price was slightly higher than Airline Z, but I do what I'm told. When I arrived at the gate, I noticed the plane that the contracted airline was using was smaller than Airline Z. I was hoping it wasn't as cramped as it looked, but sure enough, when I got in, it immediately felt cramped. At 6'1", my head was a few inches from hitting the roof of the plane, and being slightly bulky, the seat I sat in was narrow and extremely uncomfortable. If I raised my armrest, my thighs spilt over into the passenger's comfort zone. Thank God the seat beside me was empty for this trip. My knees were literally hitting the seat of the passenger in front of me. I somehow managed to grab my phone out of my pocket and take pictures of my legs and knees and showed how cramped and uncomfortable I was. It was the longest 3-hour flight ever. As for the return flight, it was the same circumstance as the departure flight, except I had someone next to me who was also slightly bulky. I pulled out my phone again and painfully took another picture. I discreetly added the passenger's size next to me to add to my discomfort flight. October 2017 comes around and I'm headed to training again. And once again, I had to book with the contracted airline. And the same thing happened. Cramped seats, hurting knees, bulky passenger next to me. In this time, the passenger in front of me leaned back on her seat mid-flight. With my phone at the ready, I took another picture of my horrible circumstances. My caption would have been, "This is how a sardine feels." On the return home, I paid for the emergency row out of pocket. Booking the emergency row was an extra cost that wasn't allowed on government credit cards. It's after Thanksgiving 2017, and I get advised I'm going back to the Midwest for more training. This time I'm ready. I had done a little research on the federal travel regulations and saw that business class was an option for air travel, if the reason to book business class was for safety and health reasons. Bingo! I created my orders, and this time I booked business class with the contracted airline and included my health as an exceptional reason. The total price was almost 3 times the normal expense for this type of trip. I submitted my orders for approval, and not even a minute passes when AM calls me. I answer the phone. I didn't even get a chance to say hello. AM, why in the hell are you booking business class? Me, because on the contracted airline, I don't fit in the normal seats. AM, that's not a good enough reason. You need to change the class now, or I'm not approving these at all. Me, no, it's a health issue. I need business class to sit comfortable. My legs and thighs cramp up and my knees hurt from banging the seats in front of me. AM, I am not approving that. I'm coming over there and we're going to meet with your manager right now. Click. I was ready for this. I got my phone and walked to my manager's office. He was on the phone, so I quietly sit down and did not say anything. He gets off the phone, looks at me and asks, "What's up?" I smile and shake my head when in comes AM. AM, glad you're here. He wants to book business class for his training trip. Manager, you know you can't do that. Why did you? Me, pulling out my phone. Remember my trip in July? Well, here's my first experience with the contracted airline, heading to training. I give my manager my phone, and he raises his eyebrows in disbelief. AM didn't look at the photo. AM, that's not the government's problem. Me, okay. Manager hands me back my phone. Well, here's a picture from the return trip, and it was more uncomfortable than the outbound trip. I couldn't get settled the entire trip. My thighs and legs cramped up a bit. Showed my manager my phone again, and he cringes. AM is still unfazed. AM, your comfort is not our concern. We just need to get you there, and that's it. Me, and finally, I got my phone back and showed them the October trip. This happened on my last trip, which left my right thigh in pain for a few days. My lower back ached while sitting in training, which made it uncomfortable to learn or study the material. Not to mention the sore knees I had bumping into the seat in front of me. Again. I showed my manager the sardine picture, and he made the face like he just swallowed a lemon. Me, I really do cramp up in those seats. I can't sit or stand up comfortably. I'm in the next passenger's personal space, and I cannot really adjust my knees or legs at all during the flight. If I get hurt really bad where I can barely walk, I might have to miss a day or two in training class. Therefore, for health reasons, I need business class on the contracted airline. AM, well, that ain't gonna happen because I'm not approving them. You need to change it back to coach. You've done coach before with the contracted airline. You can do it again. My manager looks at her for a minute. For him, being a big guy himself, he knew my pain. Manager, well, I think you should approve his orders. I understand if you don't want to. He's provided me with enough info here to get health exemption. I can't have him miss training due to an injury because of cramped seats. If I have to, I'll have him send his orders to your manager for approval. Of course, I'm also going to send him a quick email with those pictures to back up the health exemption. Do you mind sending me those pictures to my email? Me, sure, and sent. Manager, thank you. He's quiet for a minute until he turns back to AM. What would have been the alternative to flying the contracted airline? AM, there is none. We have to fly the contracted airline. I'm staying quiet because it's no longer my fight. Manager, are you positive on that? AM, yeah, 100%. Manager, then I guess we have to book him business class. And then he turns to his computer and starts typing something. AM, though, doesn't want to admit defeat, especially to her own boss. AM, wait, she says with one outstretched arm, trying to get my manager to stop typing, which he does. You know, he could fly coach with Airline Z. That's an alternative. AM is now trying to save face, but my manager isn't buying it. Manager, are those tickets the same price as the contracted airline? I did a quick internet search on my phone, which, by the way, is not the way you research official travel prices. You must use the government search engine, and AM should have caught this. She does not. No sir, all prices are up really high now. AM is pissed off, knowing that she has lost completely. Manager, so, before I finish my email and send it off to your manager, will you approve his orders? AM nods like a spoiled child, and she walks out of the office. I thank my manager and left to resend my orders to AM with business class for my November training. By the way, it wasn't much difference except for wider seats, more leg room, my knees didn't touch the seat in front of me, and free drinks. January 2018 comes around, and I get another training class. Except this time, I got approved to fly with Airline Z from AM. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for the day. No bonus today, but we will come back to bonus tomorrow. Sorry, but the video is already over 20 minutes long, and it's going to get ridiculous if we add a bonus on top of that. So, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel, and you can stay up to date with all new videos, which come out every single day. And with that, I will see you tomorrow. Peace out.